I look like such a fuckboy right now. Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode. Whatever, I don't even feel like doing the fucking intro anymore. This is the third time I had to do the intro, because I kid you not, the minute that I always want to record this podcast, as you guys have seen in other episodes, there is a lot of like editing and cutting in between them because there's so many cars passing by right here. There's people walking all over the fucking place. I live in a white ass neighborhood, and you know, the one thing about white people, they're gonna stroll. they're gonna walk. And every time I want to record a fucking episode, that's when like that all these fucking cars are passing by. Ew, I just spit. All these cars are passing by. There's people it was so fucking empty the minute that I parked, but then once I got settled and I started to record, somebody was walking around the corner, and then some guy was walking right here, and he was staring at me the entire time. I wanted to run his ass over. So I was like, I'm gonna do it in front of my house, because where my house is, they threw the minorities in the back. You guys can kind of see like the neighborhood in the back. They threw us all the way in the back, so right here is where it completely ends. Like there's like a dead end and there's a wall. So right here, I know that I'm not gonna get disturbed, and my family knows that I have a podcast, so like they'll know what I'm doing, rather than having everybody outside watch me doing this. Anyway though, also I did record this specific episode in my bedroom, because I wanted to start doing the whole setup, even though without me having the mic there was no one home, so I had the camera kind of close to me, and I was trying to record this episode. I didn't like how it came out. My sentences were incredibly choppy. The thing with me is that I am a creature of habit, so because I'm so used to doing the podcast in my car, the minute that I did it in my room, all of a sudden I didn't know how to talk, I didn't know how to act, I kept stuttering even more than I already do, and I was like, I'ma just do it in the fucking car. Because whatever, dude, you know. And there were so many things that I forgot to talk about in that specific episode, so I decided, let me just redo it, because I tried to edit it and I hated how that episode came out. So we are gonna be talking about it again, but in the environment that I'm comfortable in. So pretty much what this episode was gonna be about is why I decided to take a break from dating this year. This is something that I kind of talked about in past episodes, kind of briefly. I've always wanted to kind of get more into it, because it is a question that I do get asked a lot whenever guys do take me out on dates. I tell them, I'm like, you know, we can go on a date, but we can meet up as friends. Right now, I'm not trying to get romantically involved with anybody. So I kind of want to put this video out there as a way to like, kind of put it out there as like, so I don't have to explain it to fucking everybody. Like each time I meet somebody, I could just redirect them to this episode and be like, this is why, okay? Like this is why. But yeah, that's what this episode is gonna be about, because I was talking to a guy a month ago. We were talking for like 2 months. It got to the point where we kind of had to have that conversation, because he knew from the beginning I didn't want to date, and he was kind of catching a lot of feelings, and I had told him, I was like, you're catching feelings, mine are kind of there, but they're not. This is not fair on your part, so we can't really. I'll get into the story later. I'm jumping all over the place. So to start it all off, pretty much why I decided to date, why I decided to stop dating, is there's so many factors that go into it. Obviously the main factor was the episode that you guys have seen, which was the whole dating rap, the 2 parts. I have always had such bad experiences when it comes to dating, and I know part of it is my fault. It took me a minute to realize and to fully understand, because some people have, one of my friends that I don't speak to anymore used to tell me this all the time, like, the energy that you put out there is what you receive. And at first I was like, am I really I think I was just in denial of who I was, or just like the energy that I was putting out there. So I was, how am I trying to say this? See, I'm trying to read through the episode and it's still coming out choppy. Whatever. Pretty much, because since I was so unhealed during that time, I mean, I still kind of am, but I wasn't in therapy and I wasn't sober. Those were 2 huge factors that went into why I was the way I was in dating. I think it took me a minute to realize that I was not forcing relationships, but I think I would get attached a little too soon with specific guys that I really wanted to be with. I would get attached a little bit too much, and then with guys that I didn't care about, I was incredibly detached. It was, when it comes to me, there's never an in between. It's either one or the other, you know. There's no gray area. It's either black or white, which with certain situations it could work out that way, but then at the same time it could be very detrimental to myself, because I can never find that fucking middle ground, and then I always end up in the shitter with some situations. But I have always encountered men that had unresolved trauma, that were completely unhealed. The one that I talked about, the cholo daddy that was a 35-year-old admitting that he was into self-sabotaging. I was like, what? Why is it always like the hottest guys that have to act that way? You know, that's what gets me upset. I have something in my fucking eye. That guy that was 35 years old admitting that he was into self-sabotaging, and that men like him that I can give so much to, but because I am doing that, they constantly ask for so much more. And that has happened with other experiences that I've had with men, that I'm giving myself so much to them, but then the one time where I'm just like, hey, when I find myself doing that and I'm already burnt out, or there's just like a day where I really can't give you that because I'm working both of my jobs, those specific men have always hyper focused on that moment that I couldn't do what they wanted me to, or when they called for me I couldn't go to them, and they would mostly focus on that, and I ended up being the bad guy in the end. Even with as much as I was doing, specifically with that guy, because I talked about it in the episode with the podcast that I have with my best friend, that because of how much I liked him and I wanted to put in the effort, that's when I was at my last hotel job, and his work was like really close to mine, and he wanted to see me, so I was like, okay, we can make it work. I went over there to the parking lot. I waited there for like an hour, maybe 2 hours in the parking lot for him to go on his lunch, and then we had lunch together, and then he went back and he was like, I'm gonna see if I could get an early break, just wait here. So I waited for like another hour, then he got an early break and I got to see him. But then the one time that I couldn't answer one of his phone calls because I was at an emo night, he completely went off on me that I don't put in the effort. And that's what pisses me off, because it's like, here I am, I'm a housekeeper, dude. You guys know this. My job is incredibly tiring. It is so labor inducing, and I come out so fucking exhausted, but I still took my time to go to his job and wait in the parking lot for him. But yet the one time I couldn't answer your phone call because I was at a concert, I'm the fucking bad guy. You know what I mean? So that's what I dealt with so many men, is that the one time that I can't show up, they hyper focus on that. And then the typical shit of like unresolved trauma, I'm trying to give them the love that they've always wanted, but then that's too much for them, but they still want me to do it, but they can't do it back to me, and everything becomes one-sided. And I'm like, you just want, at this point, you want me to not only infantilize you, but you want me to nurture you. You want to learn a lesson through me. You want to heal through me, and that's not what I don't want to do that anymore. I learned that in therapy, and even with astrologers that have read my birth chart, that because I do have a Pisces moon, and it just, the energy that I do have is very welcoming, is very warm. You know, from what I've been told by a lot of people, that, you know, I'm just very easy to get along with. There's a sense of peace when they feel with me. So because of that, I tend to deal with a lot of energy vampires. I deal with a lot of men, and not even like in the romantic aspect, even in the platonic aspect. I deal with so many people who want to drain me of my energy because they want to feel that peace. They want to heal through me. So at times it's like, even with me fixing myself now, it's like I'm not putting that energy out there of me being like completely unhealed and me not being sober and all of that, and I still deal with men like this. So I know it is my energy in general, but there's nothing that I could do to change that. But with certain situations and with certain people, it could mean a lot, but then it could also be very detrimental again to myself, because I get used and abused a lot because of that. So it's just the whole dating scene of all these men who, and like this is what pisses me off the most, and this also has to do with like my last ex that I had last year, is that somebody that is so self-aware of where their trauma stems from, as to why they act the way that they act and all of that, but yet you're not doing absolutely anything to change it. You are so hyper self-aware of what you need to do in order to change all of that and where everything stems from, but yet you don't want to go to therapy. but yet you want to find someone like me and heal through me and project your shit on me, and then in the end I end up being the fucking bad guy, because there's only so much that I can take, and then once I speak up for myself and I defend myself and I start to set those boundaries, I end up being the worst fucking person alive. And I'm not even saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying that because that is what I have been told verbatim, and have told me the same thing as the cholo daddy. I don't put in the effort, I'm never there, I'm a bitch, I'm an asshole, I'm this and that. And it's literally me just defending myself. Is me being burnt out even beyond past my fucking limits. And once I say no, once I put those boundaries, once I'm like, hey, you're burning me out, I'm the fucking problem, and I'm the bad guy, and I'm the asshole, and I'm the bitch, and I'm all these fucking names in the book. But then when I show them, like, this is what you are doing that is causing this reaction from me to where I have to step back, and they're like, yeah, like how my last ex told me, yeah, that may be the reason, but you promised me that you would be there. You promised me that you would be there for me. And I'm like, yes, but have you been there for me? I have asked that question to certain men where it's like, I'm there for you, but yet you said you can't be there for me mentally. So in the end, this shit is one-sided. How was that even fair? Even with the guy that I talked about in the dating rap, the trans guy that had the kid, I was there for his stupid ass constantly. This man was a fucking man-child. Every situation was so detrimental to him that he could not stay sober to save his life. And he even told me, he was like, yeah, I can't lose you in my life and I need you in my life, but I can't be there for you mentally. And I was like, then why the fuck am I here? I'm not gonna be the one being the mature adult, being the emotionally intelligent one, communicating with you, trying to fix this, and yet you can't even give me the same fucking thing back. It's all of that pisses me off so much, and that makes me not want to date anymore. And it makes no fucking sense too, because again, with the cholo daddy, when I first met him, the first thing that he said was, oh, you know, where are all the emotionally intelligent men at? And it's like, you're asking for something that you aren't. When I tried to communicate with him, he would go off on me, or his response always was, well, I don't know what you want me to say. And I'm like, yeah, of course, people ask for communication. They want somebody that's emotionally cognitive and emotionally intelligent and this and that and blah blah, but yet once you get that, you act like a fucking idiot and you don't even know how to handle it. Or you can handle it because, yeah, I'm the one putting in all this effort, but yet what you're asking for, you can't even be. You can't even give me the bare fucking minimum, dude. So that's why for me, I'm so over dating, because it's like, it's always this type of energy that I'm surrounded by with these fucking men. And it's the bad thing about that I just talked about, with the energy that I have. I attract nothing but broken men. And now, obviously, with the help of therapy and then like the clarity of sobriety, I'm removing those, to a certain degree. I had people pleasing tendencies, so now I am removing that from myself. I have stricter and stronger boundaries. I know how to say no and keep it as a no. Back then I was a little bit too empathetic, and I understand people to a certain degree from a psychological level. So I understand, you know, when it comes to like their trauma or their past experiences and blah blah, yada yada yada. I get why certain men act a certain way and why they navigate life a certain way and why they operate a certain way. But at the same time, in this day and age, with all the resources that we do have, at your fossil fucking age, you are way too old to be acting the way you do. You are way too old to be a 35-year-old and tell me that you're into self-sabotaging, to be self-aware as to where all your trauma stems from, but you're not doing anything about it. The fact that you'll spend all this money on everything else but therapy, like, stay the fuck away from me, dude. I am so fed up and exhausted of being the unpaid therapist. The amount of money that half of you bitches owe me from all the fucking trauma dumping, the burdens, it's so fucking much, and I don't want to do it anymore, bro. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm so fed up, I'm so exhausted. And that's the main reason why I didn't want to date this year, was because of that. And then also my main goal this year wasn't to date, it was to focus on my sobriety and my therapy. I finally wanted to put myself first and put my needs first and put my mental health and my health in general first. I'm tired of putting people before me because I do have that basic empathy. And again, I may sound like a broken record, but it's good in certain situations, but then it's detrimental to me in the end. And there's a certain time where I'm just like, and there's those people pleasing tendencies too, where it's like, I feel bad for not being there for you, but how much can I be there for you when you are not putting in the work? When you are not doing anything to change who you are? When all you want to do is self-deprecate and bitch and moan about what you're going through, but do absolutely nothing about it. And then that's where it also kind of goes in between, where at times I do feel like a hypocrite because yes, it took me this long to go into therapy and to become sober, and you know, I've been clean from drugs this year for 10 years, and I've been sober for 5 months now. So to a certain degree, I can kind of understand why it takes a minute, but at the same time, don't go onto these dating apps or hit people up through social media and have all this fucking burdens on you and expect the other person to be okay with it. I mean, I get it. I know that all of us have our own traumas and we're all dealing with our own demons and all of that. But at the same time, it's like you need to put in the work, and that is what people don't realize or fail to realize, is that yes, you can go to therapy and you can talk about it all you want, but it's what you do. It's the work that you put in to get through to the other side. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They want everything handed to them, or they want to use somebody like me to heal. And I'm like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. I'm gonna tell you no. I'm gonna put those fucking boundaries up. And it's to that point now where I'm like, if I'm gonna be called a bitch, an asshole, I'm mean, I'm not there, I don't put in the effort, call me every name in the fucking book, I no longer give a fuck. I genuinely and wholeheartedly do not give a fuck anymore. Call me every name under the book, call me every name under the fucking sun, I don't give a fuck. You have exhausted me beyond my fucking limits, and I'm done. You have lost me. I'm so fucking done. And I don't want to deal with it anymore, dude. And then also the whole part of me, how I said in one of the episodes, was that my sobriety kind of is intertwined with this. It's something that I had to realize, that with me becoming sober, not only am I having to relearn about life and relearn about myself in general, but I have to relearn how to navigate everything. How to re-navigate life sober. What do I like to do for fun without alcohol? What can I tolerate? What can I not tolerate? Even when it comes down, and this has become a problem lately, even when it comes down to my own sexual needs. With the clarity of sobriety, it made me truly realize that I was hooking up for all the wrong reasons. Even though, yes, I already knew that, and I kind of talked about that before, where, and I'm going to be completely transparent, and this is very vulnerable, but I was sexually abused growing up by somebody who was supposed to be taking care of me at the time, like my babysitter. And then I was sexually assaulted by 2 separate guys that I had like a connection with. This was years ago. So because of all of that, I did become, it was that typical story of, I became hypersexual, only because of that, but because I didn't get the love that I needed growing up from my own parents. Because a man wanted me and desired me in that certain sense, or they gave me just an ounce of attention, I was like, that's my man. That's the love of my life, you know? They would give me one side. Them giving me that specific attention of like, oh, I desire you and I want to fuck you and this and that. When you have that specific trauma of not getting the love that you were supposed to, and then also being sexually abused, you think that that's how love is supposed to be. You think that that's how the world is supposed to be, that that's the only way to get gratification. So I used to just let every man hit, because I was like, you know, they all wanted me. When I started doing my own healing journey, I did realize that I was using men's sex, alcohol, and drugs as a way to cope with my own mental health, to ignore it, to not really pay attention to it, and all of that. I was still drinking, and I was hooking up every now and then, and it got to the point where after a hookup, yes, I was satisfied, but I felt so empty. And it wasn't, for lack of a better term, it wasn't hitting the way that it used to. So once I became completely sober, again, me having to re-navigate life without alcohol, I guess you could say that like my true side really came out, and I realized how ambivalent I am towards sex. I don't, maybe right now it's because of the way that I feel about it. Maybe it'll change later, I don't know. But as of right now, I don't want it. I don't want anybody fucking touching me. I don't want anybody in me. Like, and not even to sound vulgar, but just to be completely honest, I literally don't want anybody in me. And then I found out that there's this new term that's called being a side, where pretty much you'll do everything besides actual intercourse, you know? Like, you'll participate in everything besides penetration. And that's what I've noticed, that's where I am in life right now, where it's like, because I have been celibate for so long, or maybe abstinence, I never use the word right. Because I'll do all of that, but I just won't have sex. And it's making me realize that this is my comfort zone right now. Maybe my mental health is too fragile. Maybe I'm too fragile. Maybe it's too early in my stages of me relearning about myself in general, that right now I don't want that specific intimate part of sex. And that has become a problem in the dating scene, where when this also pisses me off is that when guys realize the way that I am, I either get called a prude or they see it as a challenge. And that to me pisses me off. Because I'm like, you can challenge accepted all you want, but this is a challenge that you're not gonna win. I now know how to put stricter boundaries. And I have men that have been wanting to have sex with me, and I'm like, fuck off, dude. You are never going to touch me. Ever. And then I get blocked, and I'm like, block me, please. I don't want you around me. I don't want you near me. If this is all you want, go find fucking somebody else who's a lot easier. Why do you want somebody that is literally telling you they do not want to be touched? That is a creep mentality. And that is what people fail to realize. And with the whole sentiment of just like me not wanting to have sex, that's what I talked about in the beginning. That's the main reason why I had to stop talking to that one guy. Me and him would have moments where like we would have like a really, intense makeout session, and then he would kind of like hold me close. I'm gonna pick you up and take you to my room, and I would like push him off and be like, no. And it took me a while to realize why I was acting that way, where like sex makes me go into a panic. Because again, with the clarity of sobriety and with therapy and with me really doing the inner work, the word is slipping, my head is slipping, but me actually putting in all that work now and looking deep inside and really admitting things to myself, I think now I am able to fully process everything that I went through and realize that I do have a power in saying no. I gave that part of me to so many people who didn't deserve it. At the same time, I don't regret it, because I feel like I kind of had to go through that in order for me to get to the other side. Because if I would have never have done that, would I have realized I was using men for that? Would I have come to the full conclusion of like I am ambivalent towards sex and how much I don't want it, you know? It kind of does suck that you kind of have to hit rock bottom in order for you to realize the changes that you do have to make. But at the same time, I don't regret it, you know? It made me who I am. It made me realize things. And then again, with the clarity of sobriety, it's just like, right now, I don't have it in me, the mental capacity or the energy or the patience or even the want and the need and the desire to be in a relationship. I feel like now I am fixing myself in ways that I could have never before. And there's so many things that I have to work through and so many things that I have to work on and still admit to myself and still do that soul searching, or the, what's it called, like retrospection, or however you may say it, but me having to sit with myself and my feelings and let myself know it's okay to feel those, because I was never allowed to feel my feelings growing up. So it took up until now that I'm fucking 30 for me to be okay with the fact that like there's moments where I can be sensitive and I am soft, you know. I was only hard because it was a shell that I had to put up because of what I went through growing up, not only with the experiences with the men, but with the two parents that I grew up with and being indoctrinated and all of that. So I am going through so much right now it's kind of in between, in the best way possible, but in the worst way possible too, to where I am fully self-aware that right now I am emotionally unavailable, and I don't want to put anybody through that, because it'd be wrong of me to admit to being emotionally unavailable and then try and give myself to somebody when I know in the end it's not going to work out. Because right now, and I've talked about this before too, I am entering my selfish era, but selfish in the best way possible. Like how I talked about putting those boundaries, saying no, putting myself first and not anybody else. And who knows, maybe later down the line I'll want to be in a relationship. Maybe I will want to. Maybe one day I want to have sex, and maybe I will want to. But all of that is my decision, and nobody else's to make, and nobody else's to take. And that's where I feel like my power coming back into me is that I am able to say this decision is mine and mine only. And if that is a problem for you, then you could go find somebody else. I don't want to have to explain myself to anybody anymore. If I'm telling you no, a no is a full sentence. And some of you fail to realize that I don't have to explain myself to you. If there's something that I don't want to give you or something that I don't want to do, and I tell you no, that's where the conversation should fucking end. You know? So there's so many factors that go into me not wanting to date anymore. To anybody else that may be going through this experience, or starting their healing journey, or their self-love journey, or starting therapy, or their sobriety and all of that, I am with you 100%, and I will always have your back in that. It is such a dark journey to go through, but it is so worth it. And even though, yes, I kind of made fun of myself for being 30 and doing it now, I am happy that I am 30 and I am able to fully realize that I do need that help, you know, to be self-aware enough that I do need that. I needed that help, and I'm getting that help, and I'm doing what I can to fix myself. And if I lose people a lot along the way, well, then you were never supposed to be in my life. Because if me fixing myself and me healing bothers you, that's on you. I shouldn't even have to explain how that's a problem. That's entirely on you, and you can stay out of my life indefinitely, you know? So don't ever feel bad for entering that selfish era, and for putting yourself first, and for actually loving yourself. That's the whole thing of this, is it should never be a problem that you love yourself. So I'm very excited for where this journey takes me, and you know, many more things for me to realize and to come to terms with. And you know, we are forever changing and ever evolving. I could change my mind in the next couple of months, or maybe I could stay the same in the next couple of months, who knows. But like I said, this is my journey, that's my decision. Nobody's taking this shit from me. And if you try to, I will rock your shit. Because I'm fed up. But anyway, you guys, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this and to hear this and to keep up with me. I am being more consistent, which makes me really, really happy. I'm going to try to use my... I've been waking up early now, but I could do this. So, yeah. I will catch all of you in the next episode. Deuces.